Hello, everyone. Welcome to Frequency Bone Summer Music Connection, Music and the Natural Worlds. This is video 3. And I also want to say happy summer solstice to everybody. I'm not sure what to call this video. I'm just not sure. For right now, we just might call it video 3. On with the journey. You know, the solstice is part of the natural worlds, directly affecting this particular planet. And it talks of the relationship between the sun and the earth being at its highest point in the sky, if you're on Earth. And of course, in the northern hemisphere, it's being celebrated today, June 21st, 2020. It's a powerful day. Many cultures throughout the world celebrate this day as a day of abundance. Some celebrate that day of abundance in ways that really express their gratitude for being alive. Their gratitude for the abundance that their life has been fortunate to come by. And many are enjoying the fruits of their labors during the springtime, planting and doing all this harvesting, and in some places, and of course we know a lot of harvest starts much later than this time of year, but it marks a certain midpoint in the year. And to many people, summer is the most marvelous, wonderful, everything's out in its full glory, and there's been many songs written about the summertime being a time of romance and fun and all sorts of things. But Dr. V and I, we went out on an incredible walk today, and was very curious. It is a powerful day. Every time there's a solstice or an equinox, they're like gateways in a certain way. They are points that are definable. And in that, there seems to be a window that appears in them. And this is all part of the natural worlds. Might be sounding a little more astronomical, perhaps even astrological. But there are natural worlds beyond the planet Earth, as we know. And so, in this walk, we were trying to commune with certain aspects of this particular setting that we really have built strong relationships with. And every time we maybe wanted to take a small picture or a video or feel the quiet of that area, some Music all of a sudden came from who knows where, really loud. And then all of a sudden, Dr. V was taking this amazing picture of this stump, kind of a video actually, and it had a hole in it. And anytime, she was telling me that anytime there was a hole in a tree or a rock or anything like that, right, in nature, that it was said that it was a gateway. It was a gateway and an opening to someplace else. And I took a little video of it, and she was going to take a little video of it, and everything was getting very, very still, and you could feel this special feeling. And like all of a sudden, sirens went by. And then a giant lawnmower, some cutting thing, started going. And this happened several times. So many times, it's a curious thing. When we're feeling a certain need for silence, or something wants to be more kind of intimate with something, something might come and interrupt it. That's just all part of it, isn't it? Now, I can't say that it was actually an ambulance that came by. Part of our world, the human-created world. Lawnmowers, all of a sudden music playing in a forest. I've often said, and we've often said, that music is like almost one of the most disruptive of the arts, or invasive, because you can hear it. It's harder to hear a painting in another room, but it's certainly not hard to hear music coming from another room. And when you want something quiet, and all of a sudden there's music that is just antithetical to the environment that you are in, is a very curious thing. And actually, you can feel the difference. It's not that the music was bad. It just didn't fit the circumstance we were in and what the land and the moment was in. But it was still a very connective, meaningful walk. Before this particular video, there was a small video I'm calling Prelude to Video 3. Hopefully you heard it before this one. If not, that's okay. You can hear it if you'd like. And I just happened was testing a couple things to see how the microphone was. As a matter of fact, when I recorded that, this one wasn't turned on, and I thought it was. It was plugged in. The light was on, but it wasn't set up. And so it was with the mic that was built in, the internal mic of the computer. I didn't know that at the time. All of a sudden, I just started to play. And this is before our walk. Oh. Yes, it was before the walk. And I was thinking about it and just connecting to different things and the different bird sounds that I've been listening for lately, and different feelings of water moving, and then starting to feel fluid, and little songs coming to me because I'm feeling for this. There's stone called pudding stone, and it's quite unusual. It's called a conglomerate, and it looks like it has a lot of stones inside of it. It's a very unusual, and really is mostly in this part of the world, in the Northeast, especially in Massachusetts, especially where we live. So it's all over the place. And I have a connection to a pudding stone cave that on the next Zoom session, I'm going to show a little video I took of it right before all this other noise started. And all of a sudden, when I was playing, I forgot that I was playing. And then I started in this little prelude video, and all these little different things were coming, and then my parrot was sitting here, and I felt like I was communicating with her. There were all these things just happening, and then all of a sudden lip trills were coming. I was thinking of water, and lip trills felt so easy, or not the little flexibility studies that I can do pretty well, but everything just kind of, it wasn't a usual warm-up. But I hadn't really hardly touched my horn today. And all of a sudden, this connection with the natural worlds started to produce a whole other element and feeling. And I'm smiling at the end because Dr. V came by. She didn't know I was recording. I didn't know that the recording would even be used for anything. I was just testing things and then got lost in the connections. And she said something about, well, that was a neat one, or something at the very end. But it didn't totally pick it up. You might be able to hear a little voice, but... And this is the marvelous thing about building conscious connections to really influence your life in ways that you can draw from. Because if they get to be a part of you, you can go visit them closer, and sometimes they come to visit you. Now, for those of you who think that's a woo concept, it's not. It might be a science you just aren't familiar with. If you're building a relationship with something, doesn't it make sense? Maybe it would communicate with you? There's been many, many, many books for years and years and years written about communications with the natural worlds. You know, if you have a pet, you're communicating with your dog or your cat or your fish or your bird or your salamander, right? Do you think a plant can do that? Don't you think a part of land can do that? They can become your allies. You build respectful connections with these lives. You'll hear from them. Now, as you can see, this goes beyond how good our instrument playing is. You know? But that's such a marvelous way and medium to express different things moving through us. Sometimes I'll write poetry. Sometimes different contemplative ideas and revelations come to me. Sometimes I pick up my horn and things will come, or write it down for other instruments. Draw a picture. It doesn't have to be great. If we worry too much, oh, I can't draw, I'm not good at it. I'm not a good writer, I can't write poetry. Nonsense. Of course you can. You can do these things, whether if you're great, really getting to be a fine player in your instrument, you don't feel you can write as well as you can play, that's okay. We live in this world of gain and loss to such a degree. And I'm sorry, I'm just playing with a microphone here because it's falling. It doesn't have to be that way. And we cancel out other expressions because we don't identify with them, or we haven't even given them a chance. Or for someone else, it might turn up as math, or a deeper look into history and the peoples who originally were on certain lands. You see what I mean? It might take you into, oh, you're falling in love with trees? Oh, it might take you on this whole journey about trees. And so many incredible people have written about them who've spent amazing amounts of time with them, and they communicate with each other. If it's alive, it can communicate. Isn't that great? Don't you feel sometimes that the music speaks to you? This isn't anything to fear. This isn't anything to feel woo-woo about. It's part of life. I'm so happy. I'm so happy, and I'm filled with so much gratitude that I'm not closed to that. I can't imagine what it's like. And I hope that there's at least one or two people who are, from going outside and building relationships with things, this will get deeper for them and mean something. You'll have experiences in your own way. Doesn't have to be any like anybody else's. But I'll tell you, on our last Zoom call, yeah, it must have been the second Zoom call, because this one's going to be the third one. Oh my word. We got into a really packed time of discovery and experimenting and discussing our experiences about air and the different uses of air. If you've seen the blog post that was written a day before this video is made, I give a suggestion about how to practice long tones. All of this can be related to our playing. Don't you look at a stream flowing? For example, an easy example. Think, wow, that could be a long tone. I remember I lived at a place at Tanglewood, 1976. And in those days, maybe I had some parties. And I remember I had one, and Dick Mackey, the former fourth horn of the Boston Symphony, one of the greatest low ranges I ever heard. And there was a stream in back of the house, and it was going, and he heard it, and he went, like he was playing his instrument. And so imagine having that connection with the stream, the sound of the stream. And in that case, what's creating that sound is the rushing water against itself, against the various ground and rocks and levels of rocks, creating that particular sound. And I'll always think about that. Of course, that's one kind of long tone. You could look at a ridge of stones and think another one. You could watch a comet go by and see one. Now that maybe would be a shorter tone, but you could incorporate that into a long tone feeling with the sight of the comet and its tail. And plus, don't forget the environment that these visual things are, and sounds and smells are happening. Anyway, it was really, really interesting, the Zoom call. And all of us were hearing ideas that we hadn't heard before from the other people. And that's what I would hope would happen on these Zoom sessions. So I'm really looking forward to the next one. And of course, those of you who are interested, you can find out about them. So, that's it for today. I know I kind of seem like I'm somewhere else in a way. Maybe I do at other times as well, but definitely feel that way today. And I wish you a happy solstice. Even though you'll see this already when the solstice is past, I hope you've had one. And we'll see you on the next video.